Good afternoon. What's going on, everybody? The stream starts now. That's what happens. Stream starts now. What's going on, Menace? What's going on, Ebrav? I see you, David, Jackie. Thank you guys for showing up. This has been a very news-heavy weekend. So this stream is going to just be all about news. So, yeah. Before we kind of just jump into that, Dungeoneers Pack Live is a weekly live stream show where I go over topics or the news of the week for D&D 5th edition. My name is Josh. Thank you guys for showing up. Yeah, this has been in a super eventful news. Before I jump into this, I'm going to jump into some community stuff. Normally we start off with news, but since this show is entirely news heavy, let's jump in and see what the community had to say this week. For the question of the week, I asked you guys specifically, since we were preparing for a book announcement, I wanted to know which book, get the right answers up here. Well, what kind of non-campaign setting book did you guys want to see in 5th edition? So I had to ask this because every time I ask what kind of book you guys want to see in 5th edition, Spelljammer, Dark Sun, and Dragonlance are all the same answers you guys keep giving me, and I'm tired of seeing those answers. Dragonlance may be coming next year. I think Spelljammer is just a meme now. So I want to know what other books you guys wanted to see. So in this time, since I asked this very specific pointed question, you guys gave me some good answers. So what I got was from Jalen Smith, a magic item compendium. I know there's been a lot of I've seen this pop up frequently, that they want a book dedicated to magic items, which would be pretty sweet. Based off how they set up books, it'd probably be magic items and some player options that tie into magic items. Alex Bryce wanted a gunslinger official class. The only gunslinger in 5th edition, or the most well-known version of it, is Matt Mercer's from Critical Role. He did a gunslinger based off the one from Pathfinder and sort of brought it as a fighter subclass. That is up on the DM's Guild. You guys can see for free. Also, another Tasha's and Xanathar's kind of book from Samantha. She said one that has all races, classes, and subclasses. And then David jumped in and said, I want a new monster manual. And guess what? We're getting another one, this time with dragons. All right. And then perhaps a new book for DMs with new tools like improved exploration rules for cadavering a monster for materials. Oh, okay. So, actually, that'd be pretty cool. So an expanded rules list to help with exploration, and then hunting and a Monster Hunter-esque rules where you can actually get body parts and monster parts and all that kind of fun stuff to build items. A full 5th edition rework of the crafting rules would do wonders for the game. I know there's a lot of people that love to get into that kind of stuff, and there's a bunch of designers out there that has some really great stuff. I recommend, I don't, off the top of my head, I can't really listen to, but search DM's Guild, search Drive Thru RPG, and guarantee there's some really good resources out there for that kind of stuff. Next time I'll be more prepared and actually link you guys to some good stuff that I've seen across. And then Jerry V said, a Manual of the Planes with God info. That actually would be pretty sweet. I could see that being tied into a Planescape or a Spelljammer type book. And then Ronan Hare, Dragonomicon. So yeah, we're getting a Dragonomicon for 5th edition. Let me go ahead and see what the Discord had to say. Pop in Discord. Okay. Discord, let's go. See what the Discord had to say. Question of the week. Okay, Rich, buddy, content creator, said he's actually wondering why Wizards and Hasbro has it tapped into their Marvel and Star Wars license. It would make sense that bringing maybe some sort of like book featuring their properties would make sense that the WotC Wizards would have access to that. What's going on, Eric? Thank you for jumping in, Fry Minis. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, definitely go do. It's a really, really great channel with rounding up a lot of D&D news and tips to make your games better on the DM and player site. So definitely go check them out. So yeah, Rich, yeah, said that, and it makes sense. But I believe the gaming, there's some discrepancies with the gaming stuff. I believe other companies have the licensing rights to tabletop games. So there's some Disney likes to split up their stuff and kind of have their own stuff just to kind of make money. I don't know. They're weird. But a Marvel RPG is coming out next year, I think. All right, Ebrav, let's see. You were very unsure, but then boom, you gave me a bunch of awesome stuff. You want a Fae book? Guess what? We're going to talk about the Fae book coming out this year. A Luniverse or any K-pop universe that is very specific. I'm pretty sure there's some designers that have some sort of K-pop and Luniverse sort of stuff out there. You just got to look. Magic High School, guess what? Another book coming out. Are we talking about the $750 mini box today? No, I'm going to focus on the three books for sure. That $750 minis. Go check out. Actually, Eric, go ahead and drop the link to that. He did a video on that today. Go ahead and drop your link for that. Everybody knows that is quite expensive. I need something based on Russian climate and Slavic folklore. That'd actually be very, very interesting to actually do a sort of setting book. That'd be interesting to see how they could actually implement that. There definitely needs cultural and sensitivity readers to bring in that stuff to make sure. I want to see more stuff based off cultures and stuff, but it needs to be done right. Fortunately, D&D doesn't have a really strong history, a really good history when it comes to adapting cultures into the settings. All right, let's see. And then Laughing Rock straight up said, pirate setting, Pirates of Dark Waters. I don't know if you guys remember this cartoon. Me and my brother used to watch this a lot. Faint distant memory. But yeah, okay, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, a lot of the stuff is just more monster books, more magic item book, more player options as always. I will eat up as many player options as possible. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Ibrav says, I'm not sure why Baba Yaga isn't in D&D yet. Baba Yaga is in D&D, but she is tied to Tasha. So you're gonna see, I believe there was some stuff in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and I believe maybe some stuff in the Ravenloft book. There's a lot of tie into a lot of that kind of stuff when it comes to, but the character is in D&D. It's just not the version you might be used to. Eric said, Prime Minis, the idea of an Eastern European spooky stuff agreed on needed for sensitivity. I agree. They need to do a better job of actually hiring people to go over stuff if they're going to incorporate it into Forgotten Realms or any other setting. All right, David, late entry for the setting, but how about an Aztec setting? There is an Aztec Mayans like setting in Forgotten Realms. It's Mazteca. It is not good. It suffers. I don't know if you guys are aware of the. I gotta get their name, but Daniel Kwan. He does a podcast where they go over specifically. It's mainly Asian settings and Asian adaptations to tabletop games, and they critique it based on accuracy and whether it's pretty much racist or not. When they went and looked at the Oriental Adventures, Mastika follows the same problem as they had, and I would love to see it being of a Hispanic and Latino background, but I don't know if they can do. They need to start from scratch with that, and I think the same thing with Oriental Adventures and bringing back Car Tour. They need some work. I think they're better off like scrapping that stuff and just like introducing new. Um, yeah, Salt Marsh is the closest thing to a pirate setting book. I agree. But yeah, pretty much that's pretty much it for the question of the week. If you guys want to see your guys' answers, keep it out on the community page on the YouTube, on Dungeoneer's Pack, on Instagram, or in the Discord. I post them at least on Monday or Tuesdays, and it's always something pertaining to what's going to be on the live stream. But yeah, thank you guys for giving your answers, and I have another community segment coming out later, and something I'm going to try that's a little new, but let's get to it while we're here. All right, so 3 books coming out. We got, and they're all coming out pretty much one right after the other. We're going to start off with talking about the new book. This one will come out in October. This is the Fizban Treasury of Dragons. They did so well trying to hide and really roll this announcement out, and then it got leaked. And it got leaked, but not by the usual suspects of like Fantasy Grounds, Amazon, or D&D Beyond. D&D Beyond leaked indirectly. Nerd Immersion looked into the code, and it was right there in front of everybody's face. Not the most protected thing ever. And we knew we were getting a dragon book a couple days ahead. This was my biggest guess on what we were going to get. A lot of people were like, "No, it's Dragonlance. Got to be Dragonlance." There was a lot of reasons I went over why it was never going to be a Dragonlance setting book. And the biggest thing in terms of the company trying to make money, they're not going to pit 2 setting books against each other in the market. It's just kind of the reality of it, especially because Dragonlance is a highly popular setting amongst the 5th edition crowd, and they're not going to put it against Strixhaven, which in general isn't that well known. So, but we are getting a Dragonlance-esque book. Sorta. It's using Fizban, which is a major mage or wizard that is tied to the dragons and indirectly tied to Bahamut. And it's a pretty much big dragon monster book that's going to have player options. So, what do we know so far about these bands? So, bringing up my bit of info. It's going to be $50, hardcover. So, the coolest thing, they're introducing Gem Dragons into 5th edition. So we've had chromatic and metallic. Thank you, Eric, for the dono, $5. Thank you, sir. Said I still can't believe they dedicated 50 pages to rules for romancing dragons. I'm gonna hold you to that. We're gonna see. I'm gonna see. I highly doubt that. And the funny thing you bring that up, we'll get into Strixhaven and some of the weird stuff they're going to be doing with that book. So, yeah, introducing. So, Gem Dragons. So, those that don't know what Gem Dragons are, they are psionic dragons that are based off of gems. So, we have crystal, sapphire, ruby, etc. But it's another way to slowly integrate psionics into the setting, which is cool. But on top of just actually having monster stat blocks for Gem Dragons, we're getting player options that will allow players to be Gem Dragonborns that will have some sort of psionics. We've seen this in the UA. So it's going to be interesting on what exactly we're going to get. So just going down the list of what is on the article page, the main thing, we're going to get the 5th edition setting lore for how Bahamut and Tiamat and how all the dragons were pretty much created for the Dungeons and Dragons, which is cool. If you're going to play into this, people that do homebrew settings kind of ignore this, but it sets up their multiverse lore for D&D if you're really hard into that and need to follow it. And then whenever they release a 6th edition or whatever in the future, they're going to scrap this and do something else, always. Thank you for stopping by, Erav. All right, but the big thing for the channel. Actually, let's keep talking about the monsters. So they're adding a bunch of new monsters into the bestiary. So crazy ones. So obviously we're getting gem dragons, but they're gonna add stats for dragon gods. Most likely, they're probably going to reprint Bahamut and Tiamat, and maybe include some of the other ones that are shared in name, like Paladrin from Dragonlance. All right, but some of the cool ones. There's a dragon with the Elder Brain attached to it. That just is. That's one of the ones they said that's in the book, and that's ridiculous. Like an eldritch dragon that's controlled by Illithid mind flayers. Um, super cool. Then we're gonna get some crazy stuff. Let me show you guys some of the pictures for this stuff. All right, so that's the cover. We're gonna get like an elder dragon turtle. That's pretty much Godzilla-esque. Like that's sick. I'd be scared to fight against that. And then again, some gemstone dragons. That's a crystal one. All right, and then into some player options. So we're getting Gem Dragonborn. We're gonna get variants of chromatic and metallic Dragonborn. But what's missing is the Kobold. The Kobold is not being printed in this. So I don't know if this got scrapped. The Kobold was actually one of my favorites in it. I'm probably in the minority. But the Kobold had some pretty cool mechanics. I know there's some very outspoken people in regards to the Kobolds, how they're supposed to play, but it had some really good features, some traits. Ooh, the shiny white one was a silver great worm, a step up from. Ooh, okay, good to know. That looked like a crystal, but that went back up. All these nice little shards kind of threw me off. That's actually pretty. All right, but yeah, in terms of other player options, so we're getting some new races, lineages, whatever WotC wants to call them now. But kobolds are missing from the UA. Subclasses. This book is introducing two subclasses: the Drake Warden Ranger and the Ascendant Dragon Monk subclasses. I've done two videos. I've done a video for each of those, so go ahead and check them out on the channel. And Rich Mary, buddy of the channel, also just put out a video on the Drake Warden. So after you check out mine, go ahead and check out his too, to see the different perspective and how we looked at the subclass. I'm gonna be interested to see if they changed the pet mechanic a little bit, because my biggest criticism of the Drake Warden pet mechanic was it felt too Pokemon-y. Like your guy was like, okay, I Charmander for a little bit, and then it comes back. And the big draw of like having a pet in D&D is having it sit there beside you and actually like interact with it and create a bond with your character. With that, people are saying, well, that steps too much on the Beastmaster Ranger's toes. But we've seen Wizards isn't afraid to adapt and take one concept and then make something similar to it. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping they do lean in that direction with the Drake Warden. Because yeah, having a pet dragon is actually pretty like a cool character fantasy. And then yeah, we have the Dragon Monk subclass, the Ascended Dragon. I feel like it's a better 4 elements monk. It has some pretty cool features. All right, and then what else? What other player options? Oh, we're gonna get spells, new spells. So it's pretty much everything we saw in that Dragon player UA. Getting the spells, and we're getting feats. The product page lists feat, but apparently this is incorrect, and it's actually feats. This has been corroborated by WotC official. So yeah, so most likely they will change this soon. There's multiple feats. It's most likely the racial dragon feats that allows people to take like draconic aspects onto their character. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. The big theme you're going to see with these books that I'm talking about today, they all have player options throughout. So they're really, 5th edition's really trying to make these books sell to everybody and not just to DMs, because a player isn't going to want to pick up a dragon book with just dragon monster stats. That's a DM book. But a player may pick up this book now because it's adding 2 subclasses, 3 races, lineage options, and then a bunch of new spells and some feats. That's a lot for a player, for especially for a book that's so targeted. All right, but how are you guys feeling about this? I know this book got leaked, but how are you guys feeling about a lot of the dragon options? I'm excited. I like more player options. The 2 subclasses alone are probably like an instant buy for me for this book. Just because I like monks, and I'm like in the minority who thinks monks are cool. I like monks. All right, let's switch gears and let's go into Wild by Witchlight. So this is the Fae book. So Wild Beyond the Witchlight. So we already knew that this one was coming out. Eric Fry Mini says, super excited. I like the idea of a focus book like this. Same. I'm hoping they do more of these books. There's a lot of monsters that they can actually start creating books like this that and give them a wider appeal, and also introduce player options that are tied to it. Shoot, I want to play Drake Warden. Like that was actually one of the cool ones. All right, so Wild Beyond the Witchlight. So this is our Fae adventure book. So this is the adventure book for the that's coming out for the fall. So this is our first in the series. So this one's September. Fizban will be October, and then Strixhaven will be November. Yep. So it's another $50 book coming out on the 21st. And this one again is in the low level range of 1 through 8, as most campaign settings or campaign books are for Wizards, which is a little upsetting. I know there is a want and need for higher level stuff, but Wizards, there's a reason why Wizards does this. It's easier to sell campaign books for low level adventures, get people into the game. So it's easier to get people into the game and playing the game if they sell low level adventures compared to a high level adventure. And that you kind of already have to be invested. You're not really growing your player base. So if somebody's like, hey, do you want to play? Somebody's never played D&D, and then you got their friends that are saying, hey, do you want to play this Alice in Wonderland, Willy Wonka-esque fairy tale campaign with us? That'll probably interest somebody that's never played D&D and be like, okay, I'll try that. Unfortunately, like you're saying, like if somebody says, oh, you want to play this high-level adventure where you're just, fighting a giant brain monster, not going to be the same thing. So yeah, so there isn't much new in regards to specific news, but we did get like names of specific creatures or the player options. So the rabbit folk are now called Haragon, which is cool, weird. And also confirmed that the fairy are in this book. What's missing is the Fae hobgoblin. Unlike the kobold, this book it was been confirmed by the head of Wizards, or actually the head of the D&D department at Wizards, saying that the Fae hobgoblin will show up in another book later, which is like, ooh, okay, what are they going to do with that? Because that was actually one of my favorite out of that book, or out of that UA. It had some pretty cool help action options that I like utility stuff like that. So I'm wondering what book that's going to come out. Other than that, most of the news in regards to this adventure, they just really leaned into what we can expect and what's going to come, and they just tell us a little more about the adventure, introduce you some of the characters and the themes. Another thing for the player background stuff that they're adding a background called Fae Lost and the Witchlight Hand. So Fae Lost are for, like it says right here, characters who grew up in the Feywild, and Witchlight Hand is for people that work for the carnival. It's going to be interesting to see what they had. I love when they add backgrounds. Most of the games I play, it's not, even though it says in the player's handbook you can change your backgrounds and create and mix match abilities. Most DMs don't allow that. So adding more so you can just kind of have the base stat one would actually pretty cool, especially if they're Fey tied like this. Julie wants to play a Drake Warden at some point. An entire book of Banner Hubs. I knew. Oh, there was an entire book of Banner Hubs. Guaranteed, you're going to be needing to get the Beetle and Grim version of it, and then the special edition on top. The NPC says, picture this, a fairy PC who is Swarmkeeper Ranger, and the Swarmer is a bunch of fairies. You can play a Swarm of Fairies. Yep, that's one of the cool things with this, is that with the fairy race, you could actually play a Swarmkeeper Ranger and just be an entire thing of fairies, which is sweet. And you're just controlling the leader, I guess, and then you're just like, oh, here's my friends. You know? So, the other big thing that was coming out of Witchlight, there's just a lot of story stuff that I don't want to get into because it kind of spoils stuff for people that want to get into this. But the big thing, if you guys can see this, adventure is going to include classic characters from the 80s. Warduke, Strongheart, and Kellic. I'm not really familiar with these, but I know long-standing D&D players are familiar with this, and that's pretty cool that they're going to do a deep dive and bring in some older characters. As much as I know about this book or these characters that I see them on shirts, Warduke is a fighter that ends up being corrupted and turning evil, and Strongheart is it was his friend, but then he turns against him. Kellic is the sorcerer wizard that's evil. Much as I know about it, basic, but yeah, that's cool. I like when companies in general do like these deep dives to bring back old characters and reuse them for their adventures, and it's in the most unexpected place. I wouldn't think those characters would be in a Fey setting. That's cool. Also, obviously, there's a bunch of sweet art. These are all just screen caps. This is all taken from Ian World screen caps from the live stream. But here's some players. You have the fairies and some sort of wizard. Have no clue what that is, but cool. And then little dragonfly rider. Big old oak tree. I believe that's going to be a tree ant called Little Oak. And there's this big, nice house. The biggest thing is that they're redefining the Feywild lore. It's going to be more tied to how the Shadowfell works. That there's multiple domains within the Shadowfell, so that's going to be the Feywild, and then domains within it. It's going to be like a lighter reflection of the material plane. Actually, yeah, that's the one thing I was like, that looks like a Warcraft kobold. All right, and then this. There's your Cyclops beekeeper. Pretty sick. Some more art, and I believe here's the Haragon, and they're actually selling a little mini set that has like 3 of them. But they look the renders look sweet. The paint jobs are going to be pretty rough. All right, little oak, some more map stuff. All right, Owlbear pulling a cart on a balloon. More of the fairy tale sort of feeling to this. Creepy dolls, unicorns. All right, and that's pretty much it. Hold on, let me see. There's one picture that everybody's going crazy on. I don't think they have it. Yeah, they don't have it, but it's a there's a Displacer Beast kitten called Star. I believe that's the name of the character. Around here, yeah, a Displacer Beast kitten named Star that you can meet. That's with Little Oak, that tree ant. So that's cool. Other than that, yeah, Witchlight is coming out. It's the first book to come out. I don't see my group playing it. We just kind of just started into Avernus. We're going to hell soon. I don't expect my players to really jump into this book. And it's not something I would want to run. And Fae stuff isn't something I care to play too much. I'm most likely still going to pick this book up just because of the player options in here, so I can cover it. But in terms of playing it, this isn't something that really super interests me. But I know that there's players out there that I've been wanting a Fae book. I actually would have liked if they kind of go back to the Phase stuff and explore it more and do what they did with Ravenloft and give us a bunch of domain stuff. I think that would be a really good idea for them to do. I don't think this book is going to be doing that. It's going to be more focused on the adventure with some of the player options. All right, and other than that, let's talk about the other one. I'm way more familiar with Strixhaven as a Magic the Gathering fan, and there's some shakeups with this book. There's been a lot of contention with the stuff that they introduced for this book, for the UA. So now we kind of have like the actual official Amazon book wording, or so we kind of know what we're going to expect from the book. So Strixhaven, as far as we know, originally was just like, hey, you want to play Harry Potter and D&D? Well, here you can do it. But now we know more of the mechanics of what we can expect out of the book. So, being that this is a Magic the Gathering setting book, the way that they're marketing and angling this, the big thing they said, you can play Strixhaven in any D&D setting you want. So, my assumption was right. They are not going to go into the world of Arcavios, which is where the actual campus is located in the Magic the Gathering setting. They're making it its own standstill. This is just a magical school. That's for Magic the Gathering fans expecting to explore more. That's going to be super frustrating and upset them. For D&D players that have no clue what Magic the Gathering is, or like the lore behind it, you're not missing out, because there isn't much more to explore outside of this at the school so far. So it's like you're not going to be gaining much because they really didn't develop anything beyond the school yet. So one thing, we'll get to the big thing later at the end of this, but they're going to be adding ways to, I don't know how this is going to go out, but play out academic challenges, extracurricular activities, jobs, and relationships on campus. I don't know what kind of mechanics they're going to be adding for this kind of stuff. They're trying to give you like the high school / college experience of like being a student on campus. I don't know the mechanics behind this. I don't know really what they're going to be doing with this. Normally when it comes to role playing, your characters develop relationships. There isn't really, most of that is dealt with like player to player. If it is NPCs and stuff, they've added certain mechanics that you've built rep with factions. So we have the Renown system that was redone for Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, and then we have the Piety system, which was redone for the Thero system. And then there's group patrons and Eberron. So I'm wondering if they're going to kind of play off of this. And I'm wondering they're going to just do another system that obviously you do certain things for this person or whoever, and you just build a rep with them, and then you get special abilities or something as you go. That's probably the most basic thing they're going to do. In terms of the other stuff, jobs and extracurricular activities, I just hope they have, there's a sport in Strixhaven that isn't Quidditch, for those familiar with Harry Potter. It is like, it's not like they're on broomsticks and trying to like chase a bunch of balls flying through the air. I'm trying to find the name of it, but I can't. But it's more akin to football. That's kind of what it feels like. That or rugby. That's like, it's like a combination of that, but like magic based. I don't have the name for it yet. Mage Tower. There it is. That's the name of the sport. It's Mage Tower. So pretty much it's player teams trying to take each other's mascot and taking it to the goal line and then scoring. Eric said, on the official stream, I proposed the idea for a new background for someone that dropped out or was expelled. Actually, that would be a really good idea. Most likely they may not have that, but that actually be something that's really smart. Actually, if somebody were to drop out of Strixhaven, there is a lore reason for this, and they most likely are going to be tied to the villains of the setting. And I'm such a bad Magic the Gathering friend. It's called, they're called the Auric. So this is a lot of the members that make up the Auric, the secret society of evil mages, or have quit or dropped out of Strixhaven. So most likely it's going to be tied to that. So if they do something like that, it makes them the protagonist or the antagonist. I see that happening. All right, so cool thing. There's going to be 4 adventures that can be played as standalones or woven together to create one campaign, taking players from levels 1 to 10. That is cool for a setting book. The Ravnica one was pretty much an intro level adventure, and that was it. The fact that they're putting 4, this reminds me of Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, where they had several adventures that you could as starting points. The fact that you could just weave these together and just play 1 through 10 makes this more than just a setting book. This is almost like a mini campaign book with setting information, which is pretty cool. Player options. This is like the big thing. We'll get into that right now. We're gonna go into the bestiary. So they're gonna add 40 magic creatures and NPCs. So most likely, like all the other Magic the Gathering, they're gonna just add books. They're just gonna add more of those creatures that we've seen on the cards and put them in there that are more tied to the Strixhaven setting, which would be pretty cool. And yeah, that's the big thing. Can easily be dropped into D&D worlds or campaigns. Almost every D&D official campaign setting has a magic school in it. Eberron has actually multiple. There's Moorgrave, I want to say University, and that's in Sharn. And then there's several in the Ondair area, which is like known for like having really high caliber magic users, and there's several schools in that. So like dropping that into Eberron's like super easy. And like other Magic the Gathering settings, you can easily just have your characters planeswalk to these settings if you're going to do that sort of stuff. Or if you want to drop this into Ravnica, this like, oh hey, cool, magic school in Ravnica that's open to all guilds. Cool. Heroes is a little bit harder, but I could see this dropping into a place like Melitus, where it's just like the cultural center of the cultural and pretty much knowledge center of the setting. And other than that, Forgotten Realms is just so malleable that you can just drop it anywhere. You can drop it you can make this is an expansion of Candlekeep if you want. Or you could place this in like Waterdeep, and pretty much any major city you can just drop this in there. Now the player. Let's get into the nitty gritty. So, we're only getting one new race or lineage. It's the Owlin, aka Owlfolk, which is fine. It's pretty much the only new race in the setting of Strixhaven that isn't printed in 5th edition. So it's a nice change. They could have just reskinned Aarakocra to do this, but I think with how Flavortide and players expect certain things, it was just safer for them to print an owl race. So player options, including feats and backgrounds. We're also going to get new spells and magic items. What's missing is the subclasses. They are officially dead. They are cut from this book. I started covering them for a little bit on the channel, and then so I only did Lorehold, and then I was like, that video bombed 100%. People hated this UA, and then I started working on the Prismari, and I've never done such a negative review of a subclass, and I hated that subclass. It was so bad. It's just going to give the players a bad player experience. They don't even get to play the character fantasy. So mechanic-wise, just didn't line up, and it was just going to not do the intention of it. And there was a lot of promise in it, but the way that everything worked together was bad. So, but I decided to not follow up on any of these, and well, guess what? I'm glad I didn't, because Wizards, same thing. They decided not to work with them, and most likely some of the mechanics and some of the ideas are going to be made into feats and backgrounds, which is a nice change. I think they're going to go more with the Ravnica route, where they're going to have your feat or background's going to tie you to one of the colleges, and then you get special abilities tied to the college, which means you need to pick some of the base classes. In my campaign guide to Strixhaven, I listed a bunch of them for you guys that are like tie into college. So definitely go check that out if you're really interested in playing Strixhaven. Yeah, it's a shame. The Strixhaven subclasses. The problem with them, it was they didn't have enough time to really develop the idea. So there were subclasses for multiple classes, which has never been done in 5th edition. It's an interesting idea. I think it's a design space they should be looking at and playing with. But based off the reception, they're no longer going to do this. That's pretty much, we're never going to see this idea again. Oh, it's only going to come from third-party developers. We're going to do this. And the basic feedback that Jeremy Crawford got regarding this was, and I can read a couple quotes. We learned 2 really important things from the playtest that reinforce something we've been seeing in the D&D community going back to D&D Next. People love for D&D subclasses to speak to the distinctiveness of a particular class. 5th edition fans also want subclasses to be usable in as many subclasses as possible, since so many DMs homebrew their own settings. In this case, there was a bit of an uphill climb since the subclasses were so tied to a particular setting, that being a magical college student. So yeah, that's one of the big distinctions. He pretty much nailed it on the head, and like my general problems with these subclasses. There was multiple for the bard, and each bard subclass, for example, has a way to manipulate bardic inspiration. None of the bard subclasses tied to the Strixhaven ones dealt with that completely at all. Like none of them found a new way to manipulate it, because these needed to be very broad, which actually hindered the bard subclasses for it. They just made it really bad. It didn't necessarily affect the warlock or the wizard so much, because most of their, like, a wizard's mechanics is pretty much is being the spellcaster. So adding abilities that aren't necessarily that only deal with sort of spellcasting just is a boon for wizards. And warlocks, a lot of their flavor is tied to their main toolkit, with the subclass kind of putting like a cherries on top of it and giving the flavor where all these abilities come from. It hasn't been more recently, until more recently, where like the Tashas and even the Hexblade from Xanathars, where the subclass really gears the warlock towards a specific role in your party. But yeah, that's kind of like the big thing. So they're dead. They're gone. I will not be covering them. If anything, I want to continue talking about this more. I think next week I want to talk about what happened. I think this is really interesting that such a big feature like this would get cut, but I'm glad they're doing something different. So next week we're gonna deep more into this. Because it's pretty big for a book to just kind of just drop subclasses like that. All right. Other than that, that is pretty much the news. All these books are coming out back to back to back. So September, Witchlight, October, Fizban, and November, Strixhaven. You hope you guys have wallet ready if you're going to be collecting all these books. Eric said the Owlin art is freaking adorable. The Owlin are awesome looking. Let me go to Art of MTG for you guys. You guys can actually see Strixhaven stuff. So this is all just art, Strixhaven. And yeah, the Owlin are amazing. See them right here. I can bring this up really quick. This is the Owlin. Got 2 of them here. And then there is a couple. There's other races and stuff you guys can see in the Strixhaven. But yeah, the Owlin are amazing. There's another one I want to show you guys because it's actually sweet and it's like super evocative. Like really like get players to make a character based around it. See if I can find it. Yeah, the Strixhaven art was awesome. I know it's here because I've seen it before. Here it is. This is. I would just want to make a character based off of this. This is sick. And the cool thing is, like with the Owlin, the way you can reflavor, like it's visuals. You can just pick different owls. The one thing I'm wondering though, what they're going to do is if they're going to keep the height changing. What they're going to do, allow players to pick small and or medium still, because obviously different owls are going to have different heights, and if so, that'd actually be pretty sick. Yep. Other than that, that is it for the pretty much the roundup. 3 books, all player options. I will be covering every player option that we got, and but they're all tied to a campaign book, a monster book, and a setting book. So it's really interesting. I'm glad that they are doing that for the game, making it so that players are going to be more interested in buying this stuff. But obviously, do not be surprised they come out with some other Tasha's Xanathar's book next year, where they take all these options and just put them all in one book. If you're really tight on money, save it and just wait for that book to come out, because there's no way that they're not going to take all the options from these and just put them in a new book. That it also might be whatever book the Fey Hobgoblin, who's probably no longer a Fey Hobgoblin. I have a feeling that was just like a trick, that they actually have another book down the line that they want to introduce. Yeah, and next year we're going to be getting 2 new settings, and the other two old school settings that they're bringing back. All right, so let's jump into the last thing for today's stream. I started something new, so I wanted to see, since I like doing character builds, I wanted to see some stuff from you guys. I wanted to see what kind of all right, I kind of closed it. Wanted to see your ideas for characters. So since this was going to be a dragon centered sort of stream, what I wanted to do was have you guys build a dragonborn hero. So, yep, you guys are seeing it all on screen. Change this. So I asked you guys, dragonborn hero, make one, please. Show me. If they had a goblin book, I'd be all over that. Not even gonna lie. I would be all over a goblin book. All right, so a lot of you guys had questions considering this was the first one, and then you guys gave me a lot of good feedback. So thank you, Ignacio. Always love your feedback. So for the next challenge, I'm probably going to include more mechanics, or these character build challenges for the week are just going to be a Magic the Gathering card that's on here to give you guys more room to build off of. So the general idea was like, hey, I'm just going to do a put an image and a prompt, and you guys go to town on it. But having the maybe having the Magic the Gathering card to have you guys draw more from would actually help you guys out and kind of develop more. But we still got a couple answers, and even with the the basic of the prompt and an image, you guys came through. So Andrew Schuyler, he said this Dragonborn hero, his name is Renix. He's part of the City Watch, and his main job is being part of the Fire Prevention Squad. He's been part of the City Watch for most of his life and has advanced greatly through the ranks of the Guard to become the captain of FPS. His unique ability to tap into the magic of both dragons and giants has helped him immensely in protecting and saving lives when fires broke out. Renix mainly goes into the burning buildings with his axe in hand and tries to cut through any obstacle. So, this is the general build. A Brass Dragonborn. And then the class breakdown, all 10 levels, all fire Rune Knight. Rune Knight is super, super strong. And then main features and spells and abilities. Magic Initiate, taking Sorcerer, so leaning into some of the charismatic traits for the Dragonborn. And then taking spells like Frostbite, Mending, and Featherfall, which goes into the Firefighter theme, where they're going to, this Frostbite, Frostbite, I believe it does cold damage, kind of, and then Mending to like break the woods to get like mend wood and other broken and burnt stuff together, and then Featherfall to help those that are needing to escape a building. All really, really cool. Love this on theme, and mainly using the frost and stone runes. So it's a very defensive actual character. I'm actually really loving this. This is a really, really cool one. Thank you, Andrew, for submitting this one. And then let's see. I know there was a couple more. NPC dropped in one. And then I believe we had one from Kevin Smith also. So NPC bucked the trend. He's like, no, I want to do a changeling. But a changeling is everything, so this still counts as a dragonborn for me. So it was going to be a changeling called Mask. It was a 10-level Inquisitive Rogue using Actor, Observant Feat, and Changeling shape change ability. So I'm assuming most of the time they're going to be in the dragonborn shape. Mask's story starts off on the streets of the big city, so criminal background. It was here when he would learn that he would use his ability to change shape and be observant to his advantage. He would spot out who was generous. He then would make himself look like an orphan and beg them for money. He would spot out who had full pockets and wasn't paying attention. He could then change into a halfling and nimbly pick their pockets one day, and an old rogue that was more observant than he was spotted him doing this. The rogue decided to take him in and properly teach him the art of using his observance to spot out weaknesses of opponents. When Mask was old enough, the rogue introduced him to one of the biggest thieves guild in the world. He joined, and he did jobs for people. It didn't matter. As he worked his way up the ranks, he got bigger and bigger jobs. Then found now in the picture on his most recent job, he was hired to help assassinate a Dragonborn general in the army and then take a general shape. He would then attend a meeting for war plans, gather intel. He would then tell the person who hired him all of the secrets, and the Mask walk off. I like this twist. So this changeling is now actually acting as in place of this this dragonborn. That is actually a nice twist. Thank you for submitting that. That's pretty sweet. Liking the build. Inquisitive Rogue is one of the interesting ones. That one and Mastermind are ones that kind of get overlooked a lot just because how fun and good like Arcane Trickster and Swashbuckler are. But the Rogue has a lot of really solid subclasses, even if they're not combat like powerful in combat. And then Kevin Smith gave me a whole D&D Beyond link. I will not click on it now. I'm trying to get to the base of it. So he decided it was going to be a Dragonborn that split 4 fighter, and he's choosing Echo Knight and 6 Undead Warlock. Fighter Undead Warlock. Actually, the funny thing is, I have a build doing a Fighter Warlock, but just like 1 level fighter dip, and then Undead Warlock. That is a Dragonborn. So where the great minds think alike, sir. You were caught out with your gambler background to try and cheat cards in a very high-end but shady joint, and you were chased down by a big-name local thief guild. Beaten to the edge of death, your patron, a Dracolich, who seeks vengeance on either said guild or humankind in general, saved your life with a pact. Yeah, I like this, and it's exactly that. So, great minds think alike. We're on the same wavelength. And a plug for the video if you want to check out the Undead Undead Warlock Dragonborn / fighter character build I did. It is on the channel too. Other than that, that is what we got for the week, guys. Right. Oh no, we can't have all those darkness. Okay, thank you guys for showing up today. Next week, I think we're gonna talk Strixhaven. I'm gonna see if I can bring in some guests for this one, so we could have a dialogue to go over what exactly happened and why these subclasses didn't work. And what we're getting is what we're gonna get, and what maybe choices could have been made to actually make the better, or what they could have done. I'm gonna see if I can reach out to some people they want to jump in on this one for next week. Other than that, thank you guys for showing up. If you guys want to support the channel, you can always do it directly on Patreon or here on YouTube. Patreon is patreon.com/dungeoneerspack, and then here on YouTube you can get a membership. Both directly support the channel, but honestly the best way to support the channel is every video that comes out, like, comment, and subscribe, and share it. That helps put it into the algorithm and for people to catch it and continue to watch and help the channel grow. That's probably the best way to do it. You can also catch me on social media, Dungeoneerspack YT, Dungeoneerspack on Instagram, and DPack YT on Twitter. And you want to see more stuff like this, the community center stuff, I post it on Instagram, on the community page on YouTube, and on the Discord. So keep an eye out for those. Get involved with those. I like seeing your guys' ideas and throwing them and just showing everybody else out there. So thank you for that. Check out this week's video. It's a little different from my usual character build videos. It is one based off of Matt Mercer's Critical Role, his Dariax character, which is amazing. I recommend you guys checking this little short mini-series campaign out. Seeing him in the player's seat is amazing. The character's fun. And the build was very, very interesting. And so yeah, check out that video. If you want to see how you can build your own dwarf spellcaster. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you, Menace. Thank you, Eric. Fried Minis. Go check out Fried Minis' channel. Thank you, NPC, for showing up and submitting your answer for the character build. And David, Jackie, Ebrav, thank you guys for all showing up. Until next time, guys, you guys have a good one and take care.